Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. So nice to have a nice crowd with me today. All right. So, we've talked about, and we all know that life is a test. And we get tested throughout to the last breath. So what is Hashem testing us? What are we supposed to be building up with these tests? The main thing we're being tested for is our loyalty to Hashem. Now you can see that in a way here with this war. Never did we have a war in which our loyalty to Hashem has been brought to the fore. Never a war, right? It's like we all know when everybody is realizing, or majority, or more than 50% of the people, certainly in the army. I can't even imagine anybody today in the army who isn't brushing shoulders with the spiritual test. We're being tested. The whole world is saying we're the aggressor, we are the villain, and the Hamas are the heroes. They're out to destroy the villain. And people are just nodding their head, not everybody, but too many people who are without a sense of connection and loyalty. Where's their loyalty? To Hashem. And never mind it's a Hashem. Every religion has some sort of a Hashem in the picture. And how can Hashem be so in favor? Hashem is showing very clearly good and evil. So, but when the whole world's against you, and what is being asked of us as Am Yisrael, and we're coming to the fore, is we're being tested for our loyalty to Hashem. When things are not going well, that's when the test is very apparent. So right now, the majority of the world is against us. It's just amazing. So we are rising to the test. I mean, it's just an amazing thing to see, to read, to hear. That's the good news in the picture, is that we are demonstrating our loyalty. And don't think that that irks the outside world. When I always say during the Shoah, the Holocaust, the Nazis, Yimach Shemam, they couldn't understand how Jews going to their clear, unquestionable death would have Shema Yisrael on their lips. It just totally is like disintegrating. How can you be loyal? But that's all Hashem wants from us. What can a Jew do in a situation like that, other than to show their loyalty? And that's why Shema Yisrael is the final words on our lips, because it is loyalty to Hashem in all situations. Now, as I said, when things are not going well, so I want to explain that loyalty, everything you talk about loyalty and fidelity in Am Yisrael to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is identical and parallel to loyal and fidelity between a husband and a wife. So when you want to describe, when Yirmiyahu Hanavi wants to describe Am Yisrael's infidelity prior to the Churban Beis Hamikdash, he describes Am Yisrael as Achen Bagda, Isha Mere'ah. Thereby, the woman, the wife, this is describing Am Yisrael to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thereby, the wife betrayed, and in this case, the Navi uses the word Re'ah instead of Isha, her husband. The reason being, loyalty to Hashem couldn't, and this is of course the terrible thing that happened in the golden, when we had the Avodah Zarah of the golden calf. If you believe that Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, out of the imagination of Hashem, through the unique Jewish neshama, are a part of each other. We are, Am Yisrael is, you would maybe call it like an appendage, because we have a part of Hashem. The Jewish neshama is not like any other neshama, because the Jewish neshama is built to be able to have this intimate relationship through Torah and mitzvahs with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's sad, no other religion even tries to imitate Judaism in this way, that we, the Creator and the creation, are a unity. You have to believe, and of course that is just like, it's as abstract as believing that Hashem exists, but it's really not a believing, it's more, it's a knowing. We know through our unique Jewish neshamas, we know Hashem exists. So, and likewise, Hashem wants us to know that Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are in a unique, inexplicable, but real unity. We are a creation. The creation and the Creator are united. How do we know? Because that's the only way Kedusha comes into this world. Because this is a physical world. If you don't bring Hashem into it, it remains a completely physical world. For any human being who doesn't have any connection with Hashem, certainly a Jew, then they're living in a completely a Jew who has all the potential for Kedusha and bringing Kedusha into the world. That's what our job is, through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. We draw down the bracha, the Shechina, we bring Kedusha into this world, into ourselves. That's because we have that part of Hashem in us. Now you say, well, what about a Goy? A Goy also has neshama. It's not the same. It's just not built. It's like saying, lahavdil, a zillion havdalos, but I'm just trying to say, what you have, 4 wheels and some sort of a motor, and you have a top, I don't know, Bentley, Rolls Royce. I mean, what this can do, this can't do. That's just it. It can do, a neshama can go so far. How far for a non-Jew? Sheva mitzvos b'nei Noach. The neshama of a Jew it has infinite. We are in the middle, every moment of our life, every thought, every speech, every action has built into it the potential of Kedusha and a mitzvah. Reminding ourselves that our thoughts are like prayers. Remember I said to you the tzitz on the Kohen Gadol, on his forehead. Now the Kohen Gadol didn't see what is written on it. Whoever interfaced with the Kohen Gadol saw it. And what did it say? Kadosh LaHashem. Our thoughts are meant to be holy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's all demonstrations of what? When we can get to that, we are aspiring to that level of loyalty to Hashem. Why are we that level of loyalty? Because we're part of each other. Hashem is telling us, don't forget, not for a split second, that as a Jew, we are part, we are attached to our Creator. Through how? Through Torah and mitzvahs. We are part of each other. We originate. Hashem has planned it this way. He created a whole world so that there would be one nation whose purpose is to be in a intimate, a completely united relationship with the Creator. And through that relationship, we bring the Creator into this world, we bring Kedusha into this world, and everything else, light, everything good. Now, what's the basis of all this? Loyalty. The basis of loyalty to Hashem is to believe up front that Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, out of the imagination of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are a united being. Now, we're not united on all levels. We're united exactly where the neshama lies. But that neshama is chelik mimala. It's a part of Hashem. And it's the highest part of Hashem that Hashem puts into a human being. So the thing is that we know this neshama. We know what we aspire to. Look who are the people we look up to, our gedolim. It's like their neshamas shine through. Their loyalty to Hashem and to this creation, Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as a unity. That's what we're being loyal to. And we recognize that the origin of this, the basis of this loyalty is that from the origin, we are already a creation. And Am Yisrael has that neshama, that special. And now, as parents, we're going to raise our children to teach them how to act on that attachment. That's the motivation for Torah and mitzvahs, is to want to activate what's there already. It's there, but we have to activate it through Torah and mitzvahs. So as parents, we ourselves have to bring this sense of loyalty that's based on, again, that being loyal to the knowledge that Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are a pre-existing unity. This is what Hashem had in mind. And now we're going to be loyal to that. Now, let's take that and put the same parallel to a husband and wife. What's loyalty between a husband and wife? Loyalty between a husband and wife is identical. It's based on a knowing that before we came onto the chuppah, out of the imagination of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem created a unity on the neshama level between the husband and wife. And without uniting, without the mitzvah of getting married and v'hayu basar achad, in other words, marriage is not anymore just on a spiritual, that we knowing we share a single neshama, but now the first mitzvah when we leave the chuppah is one body, one soul. So being loyal in a marriage is compelling. It has to be, because I have to be loyal to this knowing that we are a unity. We are a divine creation. And as such, being united with each other is one and the same as being united with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because it's the will of Hashem. Hashem created us this way. So what is going to be the test? What did I say? I started out with what's the test of life? What are we going to be tested in? Our loyalty, right? Are we acting as if we know that we are a unity and that all that Hashem wants is for us to turn to Hashem to help us, even though we don't feel like a unity, we don't, our emotions, our intellect, everything says distance, separation. Now, distance is okay if it's temporary. I'll be back. But we have to know that sometimes you have to create a distance in order to come back for a greater unity. We learn this from Taras Mishpacha. So we understand this. Okay, distance is okay as long as, because if the circumstances are such that we cannot either give it the attention or rein in our feelings and our intellect at that point so that we can show our loyalty. The loyalty is going to be deeper than my intellect and my emotions. It has to be, because otherwise we don't have to have otherwise we don't have to have this share. Just do whatever our intellect, that's what the outside world has. And the outside world, not only is it not a question of loyalty, the outside world doesn't have a concept that we are a unity from the beginning. But the outside world sees as marriage is two people, parallel, who are now coming together. Why? Because we have a common goal. And what's the common goal? I hope it's not going to be, the common goal might be, I'm in this marriage as long as I get what I want from you. And I'm in this marriage as long as I get what I want from you. Well, you know how long that's going to last, right? But you can be disloyal to the unity because it never was a unity to begin with. We're saying a unity has to have been a unity from the get-go. And there are only two unities like that in the world. One is Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the other is a husband and wife. Now, I just want to point out that we have to be very cautious, of course, for when a husband who is not well and cannot unite for whatever reason, he's just disconnected from himself, from Hashem, from everything. So you have to then, this is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about here basically a husband who might be very rough around the edges, but it is not his intention, or we have to crush us. He doesn't know how to yet interact. And I say the word yet, because when a husband feels his wife's loyalty, which comes in the form of safe, important, and redeemable. I'm so glad we have this to fall back on, because otherwise we'd be imagining who knows what. But when a husband has that in place, that's loyalty. Because those are things that we're going to put into play, even if our emotions or our intellect challenge it. Again, the test is always a test of loyalty. And being loyal to Hashem means, Hashem, you're sending me this rough edge, but this is my husband, and I know we start off as a single neshama, And I also know that Hashem guides the hearts of kings and leaders. So if I attach myself as the wife to Hashem to help me attach to my husband, Hashem, I have now influenced Hashem to influence my husband in a positive way. In other words, the way a wife influences is not this way, but it's up and then down. My attachment to Hashem influences Hashem to send down the messages and the messengers that will make our husbands into a better partner, a better Jew, a better whatever we're dreaming about. So making our husbands redeemable is like, he's rough, and you can say, I know you have an important message here, and I know it's also not your intention to be intimidating. It would mean so much to me if you could just say the same thing in a softer tone. It would mean so much to me. If you can't, in other words, he has to feel he's still, not that he's being diminished, but he has a choice. But what influences his choice is the fact that I've given him the benefit of the doubt. So if we speak to him in a way that makes him feel redeemable, then he will be redeemed. Hashem, will make him be more worthy of being redeemable. So what's the difference here? What are we talking about here? We're talking that when Am Yisrael, can you imagine, at the time of the Beis HaMikdash, strayed away from Hashem, how could that be? The Beis HaMikdash. But they did, because there's a natural tendency to think and feel that there might be something that, yeah, there's Hashem, but there's Hashem, but you know who else there is? There's me. And I can do what I feel like doing. Hashem is saying, do it this way. And I am coming around and saying, well, I feel like doing it that way. That's the biggest obstacle to being loyal to Hashem, is me. Also, you have to trust. Am Yisrael, Moshe was supposed to come down, they miscalculated, and they lost their sense of commitment, attachment, trust in Hashem, in this whole, and they said, okay, well, we have to have something to hold on to. So they made something out of their imagination. Actually, it wasn't quite. I think it just sort of like it happened. They poured the gold in. But it doesn't matter. The fact is they created an avodah zarah. And it's very easy. People think, how could that be? But like I said, if you can just think about, if the goal of loyalty is putting Hashem in the center, what's the greatest obstacle to putting Hashem in the center? Me. Putting myself in the center. So when I do so, I have lost touch with my loyalty to Hashem. My loyalty to knowing I'm 100% dependent on Hashem. Hashem is the only address, and this is where I have to focus on in order to make things happen, influence things, and I have to serve Hashem. So making our husbands feel our attachment to them, our connection to them, is one of the same. It's fulfilling both our attachment to Hashem, because you're going to need to pray and ask for Hashem's help in order to demonstrate our connection, our attachment, our belief that the loyalty between myself and my husband is what's being tested here. Now, if you put that into all the different tests of our life and bring Hashem into the center, life would be improved, to say the least. To say the least, this is exactly and that's exactly what happened with this war. Hashem wasn't even in the periphery of any secular soldier. Did not necessarily have to have Hashem anywhere in the picture. People have very high paying, high tech jobs, living a high lifestyle. But this put Hashem in the picture. And as they said, what the Nevi'im could not do, one enemy like Haman was able to accomplish instantly. When you see that when you're put in a situation that nothing else can help, no one else, nothing else, then you understand that. And it's funny to have to demonstrate our loyalty under those conditions, but it's still tremendous sense of loyalty, because there's always the opportunity to say despair. The Goyim want us to despair. They want us to feel that Hashem has abandoned us. And the votes against us and the piling up of anti-Israel, pro-Hamas is just, it's the only rationale behind that is this is Hashem's plan. This is Hashem's plan, includes the hostages. It's to galvanize us and get us ready for hopefully the Geula Shlema B'Karov. So the Geula Shlema comes as a result of passing the tests of loyalty to Hashem. All right, so therefore, when Yirmiyahu was trying to prevail upon Am Yisrael to leave the Avodah Zarah and focus and come back to Hashem, he called Am Yisrael, the wife. She's the wife. It's like the wife who betrayed not her husband, but you could almost say her lover. It's the person who she felt some small little goal, she felt like they share the same goal. Re'im Ahovim is not really a lover. Re'im Ahovim is really friend. And what is the basis of friendship? The basis of friendship, we have to take a look at what the word Re'ah means. Re'ah, we talked about it, is from Roet Tzon, a shepherd. And a Mar'eh, which is a pasture. What is the shepherd supposed to do with the sheep? He's supposed to direct the sheep towards a common goal. What's the common goal? The pasture where the sheep can be fed. So now friendship is like that. Friendship is, what's the basis of friendship? That the two people are connected because they have a common goal. Not because they're united from the beginning, because they have a common goal. The best of the outside world is staying loyal to the common goal. As long as it's not a goal like I said, I'm in this for as long as you make me happy, right? That's not, and the other person can have the same goal, but it's going to be a sabotage situation. But the goals, if in the best of, let's say, a general marriage in the outside world, is that the goals are on a high enough level. They're not, we're going to raise a decent family. We're going to be loyal to each other. The higher the goals, the more stable the marriage. The more physical the goals, the more unstable is the marriage. Now, a Jewish marriage is based not just on goals. The origin of a Jewish marriage is completely different. It's based on the united neshama. And within that, once we get married, we also have the common goals. So we unite this way and we unite this way. The Hebrew word for being part of each other from the beginning of the creation of the couple, which is the neshama, is called Ishut. Ishut refers to the root word Esh, which it refers to the neshama. Ish the Isha, Shechina Beinehem. The combined neshama, the united neshama, is what brings the Shechina. It's Hashem's creation. That's called Ishut. Now, every Ishut, every relationship between husband and wife, and Am Yisrael, for that matter, but certainly between husband and wife, includes Reut, has to have shared goals. The shared goal that between Am Yisrael and Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem gave us the Torah, and our goal is to learn it and live it. All right, so there's a shared goal there. The shared goal between a husband and wife is to bring Torah into our home, transmit it to our family, live it, and bring through it the Kedusha and the light of Hashem into this world. That's a shared goal between a husband and wife. So when you have the shared goal, but not the same origin, that's called Reut. When you have the same origin, that's called Ishut. Now, here's the main point. Ishut should include Reut. But Reut on its own never can include Ishut. Because Reut, say it again?
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
What if Ishut does not include Reut? It should, but what if the husband and wife don't have shared goals?
Right. So that's a very good point. And this is why in the shidduch dating today, many of these things, where are we gonna live? How are we gonna educate our children? Who's gonna be our Rav? All those things are supposed to be part of the shidduch dating process. If we bypassed all that, and here we are, we're married, and we never had that place, we have to see what we can do. Now we have to influence Hashem to influence our husbands. In other words, if we think we have high goals and our husbands seem to be either unaware or uncommitted, maybe that's a better word, because it's not, you can educate another person about what is a worthy goal, but they're not committed. Now, the way to impact that is not this way, not to keep on poking at our husbands. That is never going to work. And actually, the fact that the husband's not committed to the common goals is a test. It's a test. It's my test. It's my test. Can I make my husband feel safe, important, and redeemable within this situation? And of course, that requires my loyalty to Hashem. I'm going to ask Hashem to help out and help me. And if we are praying for the right things and we are wanting the right things, it will, I do believe, I'm going to give you an example, it will happen. Now, here's an example. Okay, this is many years ago, but I had a couple. So they were living in New York, and the husband was a high-powered businessman, let's say. And he insisted on getting the Wall Street Journal, not the Wall Street, I'm sorry, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, both, I think that was it, delivered to the house. Now, this couple only had one son. And in the New York Times, for sure, the second page of the New York Times, I don't know if it still is today, was Bloomingdale's women in lingerie wear. Is it still like that today? Good. We don't know. Good. All right. So what ends up happening is, so the wife is like, she was really disturbed by this. You talk about shared goals, and they had one son, and he was like a young adult. Now this is going back probably close to 20 years ago, okay? I happen to know the son today. And so what she did, now, what she did is she asked her husband straight like this, and it didn't work. So she kept her mouth closed, and everything went up in prayer to Hashem. She showed her loyalty to Hashem. If this is going to change, only you, Hashem, can make it happen. All right? Now, I have to tell you, we are very impatient people, but it took 2 years. One day, her husband comes to her and he says to her, "What are we bringing this newspaper in here? It's not appropriate." Out of the blue, like that. And she, from there, she had her influence on her husband. How do we influence our husbands? By our loyalty to our relationship this way, which ultimately is a demonstration of my loyalty to my relationship this way as well. It's not a loyal thing to go and keep on poking somebody in the side. You're not doing it, and then to add on to it, you don't know how frustrating this is. You have to just know this is Hashem's test. To me, it's my test. Can I dive into this and be patient till Hashem makes a change? And in the meantime, keep my husband safe, important, and redeemable. Okay? So that's it's a long-winded answer, but 30 years went into that answer. Okay? All right, so I'm trying to now tell you what the problem is. We're sending our children under the chuppah, and our kids have an idea about what marriage is, not as Ishut. They think it's Reut. They think it's like two people have a common goal. Now, I'm not saying there's times when there's a mekach ta'os, things were hidden. I'm not talking about any of but I can tell you that Rebbeim here in Eretz Yisrael who are involved with Gittin, but they can't teach. Like what I'm teaching, you have to have, first of all, you have to have a captive audience. You have to have an audience who's willing to hear it and receive it. And by the time the women and the men are coming to the Beis Din, everybody's ears are like this. There's nothing. You can't speak to them. So so everybody's hands are tied, and the Rebbeim just have to they're forced. But I believe it was Rav Gans who said, and I can tell you from my own experience, I'll tell you what my ladies who have been in my shiurim, is about 90% of the divorces should never have happened. But as I said, go and try to teach people what life is and what marriage is. Marriage is a test of loyalty. It's a test. But so is not being married. It's a harder test, let me tell you. Let me tell you, you wouldn't want to not be married. So there are people, ladies maybe in their later 60s, 70s, 80s, who seem to feel that they're not prepared to get remarried, but I wasn't one of them. I'm very, very grateful that Hashem was kind and sent me a wonderful, kind husband. All right, So what Yirmiyahu is saying to Am Yisrael, not that it was effective, but he's saying Am Yisrael is like a woman who betrays not her husband, but her Re'ah, the person that she thinks she has a common goal with, not paying attention at all to the common origin. And that is a total disloyalty. It's disloyal. It's a lack of emunah. It's everything that is off. So let me just see how I'm doing here. Excuse me on the timing. Yeah, okay. So so when a man takes a wife, now let me explain something else to you. There is a difference because a woman, loyalty and fidelity is a female, it's an obligation that every Jew must experience and reach, but it's a female, you call it energy, a female trait, our job, because we have a natural connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A woman only thinks about, as I say, for women, our thoughts are definitely tefillahs. How often have you thought something and then sure enough, it happens? Men don't have that same quality. We have a natural attachment to Hashem. We see Hashem's presence. Of course, you have to be awake to it, alert to it. But a woman sees a Hashem's presence. And because we give birth and because we understand what it means to have an umbilical cord relationship, that's the embryo to the mother. But the next step is all of Am Yisrael to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So who's going to have a better grasp of this attachment? And I'm telling you, attachment, we're part of Hashem, than a woman. So how do men get it? They get it through the interaction with their wives and hopefully, safe, important, and redeemable. It is to make another Jew feel safe, important, and redeemable. They're going to see in practice my loyalty to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my loyalty to my husband. Now, everybody else falls in a different category. Our husband and Hashem we're not going to put our husbands and Hashem on the same plane. We're just going to say the approach to the relationship is the same. It is the test of loyalty. Do we demonstrate that we know, absolutely know, that we are of the same divine origin, one neshama? Do we know that Am Yisrael is absolutely the only nation that is in an intimate relationship with its creator and has the power of bringing everything good into the world? All the nations of the world get their blessing through Am Yisrael. There's a knowing. It's not about a believing. It's deeper than a belief. We have to know Hashem. So what I want to say is that this loyalty is very, very much a weight of privilege and obligation. We have the privilege of being, because that loyalty is the model for the greatest unity with Hashem. That is what motivates our husbands to be loyal to Hashem, to be loyal to us. It's a female like we have the keys to the engine. And if we don't turn it on, nobody's going anywhere. And nothing's going to change. So we have it. When is it going to change? Like with this student of mine who was davening like that, just taking it up. I have another student actually this is not a student, this is a personal acquaintance. They were living abroad and the wife wanted to make aliyah. Now this is not in today's terms because today it's in vogue, but we're talking about 10 years ago. And she discussed it with her husband and he said, no. She said, that's it. That's it. That was it. That's loyalty. That's loyalty. Because she knows Hashem, it's her test. It's my test. And I know the tester. And I know what's being tested is loyalty. I don't have to wonder, does Hashem, I just decided today that I'm ready to make aliyah and my husband's not ready to do it. I have this noble, that's like this noble goal. How can he not want to go along with it? Because when we're judging somebody else in the process, it's what we call the holy Yetzer Hara. Because I'm noble and the other person's not. The nobility comes from the realization that, oh, I'm being tested. And now I am going to show and demonstrate loyalty. And loyalty to Hashem is the greatest influencer to my husband and to everybody else around me. That's, it's interesting. The Hebrew word for Hebrew words associated with loyalty is emunah, right? Aim, mother. It's all female. So we have to embrace it and utilize it to the nth degree. So what they're saying here is that when a woman marries a man for the most basic personal goals. Now, it's true that Hashem wants us to have children, but she wants to be a mother, and she wants to kuchiku, and she has all her dreams of what it's going to be in raising a little girl or a little boy and who knows what. But our goal in having children is our loyalty to Hashem. How did we prove our loyalty to Hashem? The guarantors for the Torah were the children. We have children in order to transmit Torah. That's why a Torah teacher has, hopefully a beloved Torah teacher, has many, many children. Because that's what having children is about, transmitting Torah. When I hear people who complain in different ways, things are just not the way they wanted it to be and the way they expected it to be, and there's disappointments and whatever else in the relationship between themselves and their husbands. My first question is, how are the children? Oh, the children, they're wonderful. Baruch Hashem, they're fantastic. So Hashem has already blessed the couple before the test of loyalty has been really addressed. Because in the end of the day, it's not me who's going to change anything in my husband. It comes only from above. That's a knowing a woman has to have. Because if you think I'm going to change him, that puts me in the center, and it doesn't make me any different than Mrs. McGillicuddy or Mrs. Wong or Mrs. Dupierre or whoever else you want to call on. We are Am Yisrael, and it's completely different. And we have to know, we want to be loyal to putting Hashem in the center and being patient and asking Hashem for what we need, thanking Hashem for what we have, and not stop asking and not stop asking for Hashem's help to make our husbands feel safe, important, and redeemable. And it's not a one-way street, because when we make somebody else safe, important, and redeemable, it's a reflexive. It makes me safe, important, and redeemable. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay. So notice, nobody's leaving Yiddishkeit today. Nobody. Do you hear people today saying, the Jews are being pointed at, scapegoated, or who knows whatever else, I'm leaving Judaism? No. If anything, I think the secular Jews, even the most secular, who haven't yet embraced, but I'm a proud Jew. They'll say that. So what I'm saying, why am I saying that? Because it's sort of intrinsic in us not to betray Hashem. Now, on what level? When we are being tested on a spiritual level, nobody's talking about, life is spiritual. Every Jew, every soldier that we've lost life, and all the rest, what did we lose? We lost their neshama in this world, the impact of another Jewish neshama in this world, and of course the eternity of that neshama. These young people without children, not married yet. I have to tell you that my girlfriend's nephew was living in Kfar Aza, and he lost his life the first day on the 7th. And so my girlfriend's sister, I asked my girlfriend how's she managing. But she said her consolation is that he was married and that she has children, the continuity. So that's already a consolation. But what about all those who don't have that? The pain, the suffering, and yet we're not betraying Hashem. Nobody's leaving Yiddishkeit. No, if anything, it's solidifying. And that is loyalty. And that's what will bring, that's the type of loyalty that brings a geula with it. The women in Mitzrayim, what was the tzidkaniyus of them? Their loyalty to the vision that there's going to be a geula. Now, how many generations were they slaves and everything was like terrible until they got to the generation of Moshe and Miriam and Aaron? They never stopped having children. They never stopped believing. And that is that's our ace. It's our secret weapon, is this loyalty to Hashem, in knowing that we're a divine creation with our Creator and a divine creation with our husbands. So when you have that knowledge, even if it's not in your conscience, it's what keeps us proud to be a Jew, and privileged to be a Jew. It's a privilege to be a Jew. On top of which, of course, it's an obligation. Every privilege comes with obligations. Okay, so to make it even more extreme, the Navi, when Am Yisrael is not faithful to Hashem, there's actually, it's even worse than being unfaithful to our husband, to a husband, or to a re'ah, as it's called. It's like being a zona. Does anybody know what a zona is? Zona is a prostitute. What does a prostitute do? She goes here and here and here and here. She's not, there's no loyalty. We don't want to go to all our little different girlfriends complaining about our husbands. That is not what we want to do. We want to consolidate, take inventory, understand what's my test. Can I stay loyal in such a way that's going to impact and influence my husband? And let me tell you something. Forget the story about the 2 years. When we are loyal in the way that we're talking, safe, important, and redeemable, we should see on some level that nobody else maybe can notice some influence on our husbands. Because loyalty is what speaks to the neshama of our husbands. You can, and women somehow or other are so stingy in their they're holding on to so many resentments that they're stingy in their compliments. But when there's no compliments, we're stingy, and we're holding on to resentment. Where's our husband going to feel our loyalty? Where's Hashem in the picture? Where's my test in the picture? I have to do the things that are hardest for me to do. Take my feelings out of the center and put Hashem into the center. This is not easy. It's certainly not easy to teach and not easy to listen, to hear on the other side, because we're living in even if you're living in a Jewish gilded, what do they call it? Hold on, ghetto. All right? Even if you're living like that, what we're learning here is this loyalty on this level is not, unfortunately, pervasive. But yet this is the basis of creating for a second. Okay, so let me stop now. Yes, because we're after time. And everybody's going to say one thing you heard today that stands out in your mind. I tend to be repeating some of these things, but I want to tell you something. It is so absent in the world that we're living in that I feel it has to be spoken about over and over from many different angles to integrate it. It's one thing to have it up here. It's another thing to have it down here and put it into action. Okay, everybody's going to say one thing. All right, Ita, one thing you heard today that stands out in your mind.
Okay, what I heard is that even though a child can be in a spiritually dangerous situation in which a mother feels responsible, she can still just really daven to Hashem that she can trust Hashem that he won't be harmed, because she is going to only do it in a gentle way. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And Hashem at the end will help that child not fall into that spiritual trap of that newspaper with the lingerie. Did I hear right?
Yeah. Yes, well,
right?
yes. Yes. It was very hard for this wife, I can tell you, but her restraint and giving her
I'm just
husband,
wondering, is that good restraint, or should she come up with a different creative solution? I'm just wondering, if a child is in a spiritually dangerous situation.
Yeah, right. So look, she balanced it out. Her husband was adamant that he was going to have that paper delivered. And maybe she helped out, maybe she quickly ripped out the I don't know what if she just let it, like what she say, let it all hang out. But I don't know about the extras, and unfortunately, she's no longer in this world so that I could even ask her. So I have to just, right. But I know her son, and I know the beautiful family that they have. So Baruch Hashem for that. But you have to know that you have to know if it's going to create it's my test. That's the bottom line. And we have to know how to deal with my test. Okay, Rifki, one thing you heard today that stands out in your mind.
So life is a test, and the number one reason why Hashem sends us these tests is to test our loyalty.
Right. I'm not hearing you.
So I said life is a test. The number one reason why Hashem sends us these tests is to test our loyalty to
This
Hashem
way.
and to our
Right. That's it. Okay, Chava, one thing you heard today.
Okay, the Geula Shalema will come from the test of loyalty, my loyalty to Hashem.
That's it. As we meet the tests of loyalty to Hashem. We're getting there. Chava, one thing you heard today.
So it was very empowering to hear that the characteristic, the energy, the trait of women is this sense of loyalty. So thank you.
That's it. That is very true. This is female energy, female characteristic, female trait. Yes. And it is very powerful because if we get it, everybody else gets it. That's a big one. Okay, let's see who else is with me here. Wait a minute. Is that everybody? Did I speak to everybody?
That was
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.